I'm Leslie Meredith, Breakbulk Events and Media. We have just finished a session on everyday innovation and how that's affecting our industry. And I have one of our panelists here, Carsten Wendt from Wallenius Wilhelmsen Ocean. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you guys had a fascinating presentation. Can you give us an example of everyday innovation that is spilling over into our industry?
Yeah, as we mentioned in the presentation, so there's drones coming up. So usually it's being used for private people just flying it all around, having fun, or taking pictures, let's say, on aerial views. But I mean, we in our industry can certainly use this also for our benefits, yeah? So let's say our mother company, Wilhelmsen, is using those, for example, to supply vessels with spare parts.
Oh, really? So you have drones that can actually carry some weight?
Yeah. It's in the test phase right now,
okay.
So of course you have to see. And there's a huge potential for savings with those kind of drones. I mean, we calculated about $4,000 for such a lift with a little supply boat. And if you just imagine a drone costs about, let's say, maybe one of those, $20,000, $30,000. So the investment is easily being paid off.
Right, after just a few supply runs. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's a very, very good field where you can see it. Nevertheless, I would say that our whole industry is very, very traditional.
Yes,
yeah?
Yes, we hear
so
that.
So we are not there yet. So it's quite interesting to see. We all use the internet for buying stuff on Amazon or when we book a flight online. But we kind of accept that we send still emails, which is kind of sending a fax like 25 years ago for sending a rate request. And people just believe by sending emails that this is digital, but it's not. I mean, it's a very manual process, very analog.
Yes, exactly. So what technology would replace that?
I guess our industry just have to be brave enough to implement technology we use already on the consumer market. I mean, we as a shipping line, we could easily open up like a portal for requesting rates, like you do with United when you book your flight, yeah? It's just, it's the willingness to do this, it's the step. I guess it has to transform. I would also say that our industry is very traditional, so it's like the more younger people come into this industry, they want this technology. Yeah? They move away from this old-fashioned way of working, so I think they demand this new way of working.
Yeah, and I think another trend that we see is the transparency, the desire for more transparency, that I think sometimes people that have been in the business a long time, I'll put it that way, things are more private, where, if you're online and you're doing things, everything's transparent, right?
It's quite interesting that you mentioned this, because when you look at the role of a freight forwarder, the role has transformed significantly over the last 10 years. 10 years ago, the forwarder could really get value because they knew basically what carrier to choose, what rigger to choose, what packaging company to choose. Nowadays, a shipper can basically go online and find it out by himself. So it has changed significantly. And the freight forwarders, of course, are a little bit scared about this transparency. And you see that sometimes, what is really left? What's the role of a freight forwarder?
Right.
It's basically two things. It's like liability and being a bank in many, many cases. And maybe that's why innovation is for them kind of a threat. But I think that it should be rather an opportunity.
Exactly.
I think those people, or let's say those companies in the industry who are not willing to change and accept the new way, they might be disrupted eventually. I mean, I've showed it in the presentation. There are companies like Kodak, for example, a multi-billion-dollar company. I mean, they were even the ones they invented the digital camera, and they made so much money on the traditional films that they tried to push it away, and they thought, oh, it's not going to come. And then they were overtaken by other companies, and now they are not existing anymore. Same goes for Nokia. And I mentioned Blockbuster, yeah. So I mean, a few years back it was just normal to rent video cassettes on DVDs.
Yes.
Nowadays people stream television on Netflix and Amazon Prime. So, and I think companies they need to watch out for those innovations.
Right?
Also
Watch
now-
and embrace the change and know that it's coming and how can they adapt to it or change their business model. Well, Carsten, thank you so much for joining us
Thanks
and
for having me.
sharing your thoughts. That's great.
Thanks.
Thank you.